For you, is the door absolutely 1,000% closed on ever playing Ripley in any capacity again?
Walter Hill is a very good friend of mine, and he wrote 50 pages of where Ripley would be now. I love what he's done with the character. He really gets her.
All right, Alien fans, we got to talk. Sigourney Weaver was at New York Comic Con just a little while ago, and she spoke with Josh Horowitz and had a lot to say about Alien and the Alien franchise and the movie that almost was but wasn't, and one that could be, and we got to talk about it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Digital Charcuterie. My name is James. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're a fan of Alien, hit that subscribe button. I talk about it and discuss it with you, and I want to know your thoughts on Sigourney Weaver's comments in the comments down below. And let me know about Alien Earth. Did you like Alien Earth? Do you want to see a second season of Alien Earth? I'm waiting for the announcement one way or another on that one to come. But I want to talk about Ripley herself, Sigourney Weaver, at New York Comic Con, talking to Josh Horowitz. The clips are online on YouTube, and he asks her questions, and she goes on about Neil Blomkamp's proposed 2015-ish Alien 5, but it's going to be Alien 3. Alien 5, Alien 3. He brought Newt back, and she confirms that in this interview. Stuff that we already knew, but she really liked it. She liked working with him on Chappie, a movie that she thinks was misunderstood. And she goes on about the concepts that he had for that movie, and she was fascinated by him and wanted him. Now, she wouldn't say exactly why this film was nixed, but of course, the word on the street is that Ridley Scott was not on board. He wanted control of Alien, and he still kind of talks that way, like Alien is his and he wants all the control of Alien, and she didn't really seem too thrilled about that. But then he goes on and asks another question regarding Alien, and she mentions that her friend Walter Hill has written 50 pages of a screenplay for a new Alien film. She says these are extraordinary 50 pages. She has met with Fox, Disney, the big brass over there to discuss this. It sounds like she doesn't know how the story is going to unfold. So I think she knows how the story is going to unfold, but she doesn't know, if the last 70 pages or so are going to be any good, so she can't comment on that. But right now, she's really thrilled with where this goes, and it got me thinking, and I wanted to do a video when Alien Earth was out, because we've gone so long now without Ripley in an Alien movie. We've had, obviously, it's come very close to her returning and not, and stuff like that. And I was thinking, like, does the Alien franchise need Ripley? And I don't even know if that's a question necessarily. Like, I feel like, yes and no, obviously. I kind of feel that way. But the way she was talking about this one really intrigued me. She was saying the tone was different. It wasn't just jump scares. It wasn't just her running through corridors. I mean, she said the xenomorph is there, so obviously all the scares are obviously there, but it seemed very different, and it had me really intrigued. And I thought, first of all, this sounds like something I would be all in on, but is this something that the viewers want, that society wants? Is this something that we want to go see in the theater? What do people want from an Alien movie in 2025? Alien Earth, I think, based on the comments on the channel, was, probably 60-40 what people didn't want versus what they wanted. I quite enjoyed most of that series, and I like talking about it, but it was fun to watch. But what do people want from an Alien film in this day and age? And I thought about this Ripley one and what she was saying, and she also said, she never really thought about reviving the character. She said, just let her rest, just kind of let her rest. And that kind of lingered with me as well. Like, okay, you're going to let her rest? All right, I get it. You're tired of playing the character, but what if that's not necessarily what she meant? What if she meant, the character's been through a lot, obviously dead and resurrection and all of that. So the character has gone through a lot and a lot of changes through it all. And I thought, what would you do? What could be different about this? And then it just clicked in me. I'm like, oh, you make Logan. You make Ripley Logan. That's what you do. You tell Ripley's story in a Logan style in space. And all of a sudden, you can have closure for this character. Now, whether or not Ripley needs closure, I'm not 100% sure if she does, but for argument's sake, maybe she does, because they keep wanting to bring Sigourney Weaver back, and she keeps being asked, and it sounds like she's on board to do it again for the right story. And I think if the Alien franchise is going to keep going forward, maybe, and the way that like Romulus and Alien Earth and all these, they don't necessarily, Prometheus and stuff, they don't necessarily all connect. They are connected, but they're disconnected in a lot of ways. Maybe you can get away with doing one more story for Ripley just as a farewell in the way you did Logan. Then, of course, you can bring her back in Deadpool and Ripley and in Avengers Doomsday and whatnot, and just whatever. but you have Ripley and you can give her a proper send-off in that regard. And I think that is a type of story that would resonate with fans, and I think that the hardcore Alien fans would want to see. I know I would want to see it, and I think it could go back to its roots. It could be action, it could be horror, it could be everything it is, and then at the end it could be just like a sick drama with Ripley just her swan song, whatever that looks like. I don't know. I'm not Walter Hill. I don't know what that swan song is, but that's what I would suspect this would be. This would be Ripley's final goodbye. And it all comes back to her saying she wouldn't play Ripley running around in air shafts anymore. And obviously her age would have a lot to do with that, but it's not about any of that. It's about reflection. It's about trauma. It's Ripley facing what her life has become. But, and this is key, she says, of course the alien does show up, inevitable. Which means, yeah, this is still Alien. The monster's still there, but it's more about what it means. Like I said, I think Logan, but in space. Ripley, older, hardened, haunted, facing not just another xenomorph, but the consequences of being humanity's last survivor over and over again. And then she says Walter Hill gets her strength, her anger, and her humor. That's vintage Ripley right there. That's the James Cameron era Ripley. The Ripley who wasn't just a soldier, but a fully realized human being caught in an inhuman universe. Guys, if this happens, it's not going to be another action flick. It's going to be a philosophical horror. It's going to ask what happens to a hero after the story ends. It's going to take the franchise back to its roots, the fear, the isolation, the paranoia, but layered with decades of guilt and legacy. And here's the crazy part. With Alien Romulus proving the brand is alive and Alien Earth expanding the world on FX, the timing is perfect. This could be Disney's prestige sci-fi project, the capstone to Ripley's entire journey. And yeah, that brings up the question, does the Alien franchise even need Ripley anymore? And honestly, no, it doesn't. Romulus showed that this universe can stand on its own, and we don't need to keep dragging the past forward to tell new stories. But here's the thing, and this is important, even if Alien doesn't need Ripley, it deserves her. It deserves to give her one last movie, one final story. Not because we need another Xenomorph movie, but because Ripley deserves closure. And Sigourney Weaver deserves the send-off that 40 years, almost 50 years of horror and heroism have earned her. This shouldn't be about fan service. It should be about respect. The Alien saga doesn't need Ripley to continue, but it does need her to end the story right. So yeah, one more Ripley film for legacy, for closure, for the Queen herself. And with technology and advancements in special effects, you can give Ripley one hell of a send-off. And I think, you want an Alien movie to crush it, you bring Ripley back, you bring Sigourney Weaver back in the role, you give her the Logan-style send-off, just one badass send-off. But if you think about Logan, it is very cerebral in a lot of ways. It's got the action, but it's got a lot of depth, and you bring that to this character, to this universe. How can you not succeed? I feel like it is a win-win for everybody involved. I think, Ridley Scott might have something to say with it, but I just think, I haven't read the script. Obviously, it's only 50 pages. It could be all downhill from there, but she seems very ecstatic about this. And the fact that she doesn't have to do a lot of the running, and, it's going to be a lot more dramatic, an evolution of the character, something that we all want to see, something that would be awesome to see. I think, how can you say no to this? You bring Ripley back, you give her the Logan-style send-off, and you say, good night, and she rides off into the sunset, and that's what it is. But I would be up for it, no question. Like, you take my money if Ripley's back in an Alien movie, 100%. And yeah, there we go. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Would you like to see Ripley return to Alien, or is she better left off in the past? Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe button. Until next time, may be the master of your own universe.